People, I want you to close your eyes real quick. I want you to imagine with me, you're in space, and you're looking at all of God's creation, and you're seeing the stars and the galaxies that He's made, and you look down, you see the earth, and you see one of His greatest creations. You see all of the nature that He's put in this world, in this universe. And I want you to open your eyes. And I want you to realize that we do this all the time. We always look at everything that God has made. But more often than not, we forget to look at one of the greatest creations He made. Man. Us. Me. You. Today, we live in a day and age in which we are given numbers. And we don't go by our own names a lot of times. We're given a number, and that's a lot of times what we use. We punch in our things in the internet, and that number is what translates over to our name, but very rarely do we use our name. Growing up in middle school, we were given a 4-digit number, and that number we used so often that it felt like I never really had a name. That I didn't possess a name that I could just tell somebody. We would go to lunch, and they would be like, "Okay, would you please punch in your little 4-digit number for me?" And I felt like that just wasn't who I was. Today we're going to look at how we can feel that we are important, how that we can feel that God knows us and cares for us, how we know that God thinks that we are the most important thing that He has made. If you will, go ahead and turn to Genesis 1, and we're going to look at those first few verses, Genesis 1, and we're going to start at verse 4. We can know we are important to God because He has said that we are His greatest creation. In Genesis 1, 4, 10, 12, 18, 21, 25, we see that God has started making creation. And He says, after each one that He sees, He says, it was good, it was good, it was good, and so on and so forth. And then finally, in Genesis 1:31, we see that God says, it is very good. And this is right after He has created man. He's looked at everything that He has made. Everything that He has made in this world. And He finally says, it is very good. So we see that God didn't think that everything was great until after man was created. You also can notice that the word good is used 7 times at this point. And the number 7 throughout the Bible represents God's perfection. It represents God's completeness, God's holiness. That 7th word, that 7th good, was not used until after creation was complete, until after man was made. If you will, turn to Psalms 8, 4 through 8. Psalms 8, 4 through 8. Here it says, "What is man that you are mindful of him, and the son of man that you visit him? For you have made him a little lower than the angels, and you have crowned him with glory and honor, and you have made him to have dominion over the works of your hands. You have put all things under his feet, all the sheep and oxen, even the beasts of the fields, the birds of the air, and the fish of the sea. You pass through the paths of the sea." Here God says that we are His greatest creation. It says that we are made just a little lower than the angels. In the Hebrew text, that translates to, you have made him to like little of God. We are made in the image of God, and that's why we are so important to God. We are important to God because we are His greatest creation. The next point says, you can see you are important to God by what He has provided for us. Matthew 5:45 says that you may be sons of your Father in heaven, for He makes the sun rise on the evil and on the good, and sends rain on the just and on the unjust. Here we see that God provides for everyone, not just Christians, not just for those that are in His church, but He provides for His entire creation, for all those that He has made. The sun rises for all of mankind, and He sends rain to all, the just and the unjust. Genesis 1:26 says that we have dominion over the fish, the birds, and the cattle of the earth. On a side note, at the very beginning of that verse, it says, "Let us make man in our image, according to our likeness." So here, God has given us dominion over all of creation. He has made man to have dominion over what He has created. and He's made man in His image. Our last point that we're going to look at is you can know you're important to God because He knows you personally, and He cares for you. In Luke 12:6-7, we see that God knows everything there is to know about us. You can also see that in Matthew 10:29-30. But in Luke 12:6-7 it says, "Are not 5 sparrows sold for 2 copper coins? And not one of them is forgotten before God. But the very hairs on your head are all numbered. Do not fear, therefore, you are of more value than many sparrows." God values us dearly. God values us more than anything that's made. And He also knows us. It says that He knows the very hairs on your head, and He has numbered them. In Revelation 3:5, the last verse that we're going to look at this afternoon, it says, "He who overcomes shall be clothed in white garments, and I will not blot out his name from the book of life, but I will confess his name before my Father and before His angels." The Lord knows your name. It exists in His book, and He knows everyone's name. He doesn't leave anyone out. Everyone that's on this earth, He knows them by name, and they're inside the book of life. So we have seen that God, He knows us. He cares for us. We know that we are His greatest creation. We know that He will provide for us because we are that important to Him. And finally, we know that we are important to God because He knows us personally and He knows us by name. Is it amazing to think of the importance of God, that the importance of God has for us? You're important to God because you are His highest creation. But don't let God blot your name out. Don't forget that you're important. Remember that every day you walk the earth. I challenge you that you remember that you're an important person. That you don't forget that who made you and why He made you. And I challenge you to overcome and to keep your name in that book of life so that God will remember your name forever.